Hi, welcome to today's couch discussion where we're going to talk about difficult behavior and what we can do. Now, I am Marina Juester. I'm a registered kinekineticist, but I'm also trained in integrated learning therapy, and I am a SNAP consultant for autistic children, which means I do work with children and difficult behavior on a daily basis, and I'm a mother. But the actual expert is sitting right next to me.
Good morning. I'm Marinda Bueta. I'm an educational psychologist. I see a lot of parents in practice that deals with difficult behavior and that are at their wits' end and need support to deal with this. I'm also a mother, so I've experienced firsthand that tantrum in the mall that you've got no control over and that you have to handle, and that is very embarrassing because everyone is looking at you and probably judging you a little bit while you're handling it.
Yes.
So the first thing that we always say is to stay calm. You need to hold the space for that little one to feel the emotion. If you also get angry and frustrated, you will escalate the situation. So to stay calm is very important. Stay calm, connect with your child before you correct them.
Yeah.
So just hold them, just be with them in the moment and give them the opportunity to feel what they are feeling.
No, it makes sense. I want to quickly jump in. Dr. Amen, if you haven't heard of him, go and Google him. He's an expert in ADHD, but what he does, and he talks about that quite often, is he says that children, especially ADHD, but also on the autistic spectrum, but in actual fact, it's actually any child. I found that in practice. They actually strive and they like to quarrel. So what happens is if they get into conflict, if you create that space where conflict is flourishing, then they will flourish on that. So in autistic children, we call it stimming. A lot of them, they like to talk back because that's how they stimulate themselves. And then with autistic children, with ADHD children, you actually train the brain. It's actually been proven that you train the brain to seek conflict. So we want to stay away from that. What Marinda is saying is valuable. Don't disregard staying calm.
Yeah, you get stuck in that spiral of conflict.
Exactly.
And the moment that you step out of it and stay calm, you break this spiral,
Yes,
the cycle.
the cycle.
Yeah, you break it and you can get the child to also calm down a bit. So don't try to reason with them in that moment. Just stay calm. You can teach them the word that the emotion that they're feeling. Give them the name of the emotion. Tell them, I can see that you're frustrated. Let's settle down a bit. Do you want to take a quiet time in your room? Maybe just get away from all the stimulation around you. Also look for the reason behind the behavior. Are they perhaps hungry? Are they tired? Do they need to take a nap? What is causing the symptom of difficult behavior that you can address to indirectly address the difficult behavior? But okay, we all want to know what to do in the moment. So we stay calm, we connect with them, we give them the word for what they are feeling. We empower them by teaching them that emotion word. And then we give them an alternative. What can they do to feel better? What do they need? I can see you're hungry. Let's get a snack. Because all of those things can contribute to difficult behavior tremendously.
Yes, and I know you also very, you feel very strong about being consistent, no?
Yeah. Rules should never be a thing that is negotiable according to how much energy you have the day.
Yes.
I know that we all get tired, but consistency gives a child a feeling of safety. They know what to expect. So when everyone is calm, you lay down the ground rules. You discuss what happens when we do something wrong. You discuss how you will warn them, how you will give them alternatives. You discuss different emotions, but all of this has to happen when everyone is calm and in a good space, because you cannot reason with anyone when they are feeling emotional, especially not with a toddler, because they don't even have that capacity when they are calm. That is something that's developing. So don't leave reasoning and telling them how to do it and what to do in the moment of the tantrum. That's not going to work, and then you're going to think that it doesn't help to give a child a reason. But it actually does help. You just need to know the timing. Always give a reason for a rule. Explain to them why something is necessary. You can't touch the plug because it's not safe. You can get hurt. Keep it short. Keep it age appropriate. And then be consistent. You should always take them away from that situation, not just when you've got the energy. Parenting is hard work, but consistency is worth it, because in the long run, that will create a child that knows what to expect and when to expect it. You should never surprise them. That's why a smack on the bum or a sudden consequence that they didn't know about or didn't expect won't work. You think maybe it works because in that moment they're scared, they stop doing what they should do. But in the long run, did they really learn anything? Do they now know why they shouldn't do something? And do they know what to do in the place of that thing? We don't give them alternatives. And that's such an important, empowering thing, to give a child alternatives or choices. Marinette, tell us about the choices that you...
Yeah, so what we found works very well is you as a parent stay in control the whole time. And what I mean by that is, you know what is important in your household. If you feel strongly about giving your child a breakfast in the morning, then you tell them, okay, now we're going to have breakfast, but you can choose between this type of breakfast or this one. Okay, don't give them a choice of 10 different boxes. It's going to cause more stress. They're not designed to actually go through, I don't like this, and it will obviously take a lot of time as well. So give them a choice between two, if you feel like it needs to be a box of maize or whatever the case may be. Or instead of saying, please don't play in my house, and now it's the negative, rather say, what about you guys go play outside? You can choose between jumping on the trampoline or climbing the jungle gym. So that you empower the child to actually make their own choice, but in a sense, you're still making the bigger decision for them. I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
You give two appropriate choices.
Yes.
And then they feel like they have a choice, but you know that whichever one they choose, it's okay with you, because it's two appropriate choices. Yes. And Marinette, tell us more about how because you've got older children now. I'm talking a lot about the young child, the toddler, and how they experience things. Give us a few tips of your older children and what works for you.
Yeah, so we have two boys, aged 12 and 8. And obviously they like competition very much, or any type of competition. So, for instance, at night when we struggle to get them up and about and let them go to their rooms now, then we will say, okay, let's see who can get into the bed within 20 seconds. So it's now not a competition against each other, because then there's a winner and a loser, and that creates tension and crying and tears. Exactly. So then both have the benefit of, if they make it in time, and it's not unreasonable, it's quite close where we're sitting to where they need to go to bed. So if I start counting and I say 20, 19, 18, it's such a fun way of getting them into bed. And then I will say, so if you get into bed before 20 seconds, then you will get a fun surprise in your snack lunchbox the next day. And it doesn't need to be a chocolate, you don't reward them necessarily with food. You can write them a little note to say, Mommy loves you, or enjoy the rest of your day. That's something that we found that works very well. And obviously, our children, it's something that I've learned from Hetty Brits. Now, if you don't know her, I suggest, on top of Marinda's excellent course, also go and check out some of her resources. But what we found oftentimes happens is they play one another off against, mom or dad, and then they come and they actually tell. It's typical, Booty did this to me, and this is what, and then and then the other one starts crying, and he's like, no, that didn't happen. And at the end of the day, they're enemies. They don't want to play with each other, and you need to be the judge. And it's very difficult if you haven't been in that moment. So what I've learned from Hetty is to tell them to actually go and come up with one story. Not two stories. They need to come up with one story, and you give them an X amount of time. I remember we went away, we were on holiday, and the one kicked this one, and this one smacked this one. It was just chaos. And then I said, 5 minutes in the bathroom, 5 minutes, otherwise there's consequences. So I stood behind the door and I listened, and I actually started laughing because I could hear my oldest one saying, you know what, remember I kicked you, but then this is what you did, but let's tell mom, you smacked me and blah, blah, blah. And then the other one said, yes, yes, yes. And, you know, they started becoming buddies again, and they obviously had to solve the problem and they had to come up with a solution. And when I opened up the door and I had this, you know, cross face, I'm like, did you get one story? They're like, yes, mom, this is what happened. And I remember specifically when I turned around, they gave each other a high five, like, yes,
we did it.
They avoided the consequence, you know. So at the end of the day, they played again, and it wasn't an hour or two apart from each other, you know, big mouth, all stuffy and blown up. So that is something that works well for us. And then I'm quickly thinking of, for instance, sharing. Like sharing a chocolate and doing it rightfully as well. So what I mean by that is, if our oldest take the chocolate, what happens a lot of times is if he breaks the chocolate in half, then he will take the biggest part. So what we came up with is we said, okay, you are allowed to share it and break it, but then your brother gets to choose which one of the two. So immediately he starts recognizing, I need to actually, yes, I have to be fair. And then we swap around. Next time Ruvan has a chance to actually break the chocolate in half, and then Richard gets to choose. So that helps a lot when it comes to sharing and being fair with one another. What is stuff that you have found that works well for you guys in your household?
I've seen that a child will not do what you say. They will do what you do. And I've seen this in practice where parents can't understand why their children are hitting each other or other children or shouting when they are doing the exact thing. But I've also seen it in my own house where my daughter would tell my son, you are taking chances. You know, shaking her finger in his face. And I'm like, don't be rude to your brother. Why are you doing that? And then I realized she is copying me. That's what I do. So you really see in your children your worst qualities. And that's sometimes a little bit of a wake-up call, because that's not what I want to teach them. I don't want to teach them to be rude. That's why we always say, never bite a child back to teach them not to bite. Never hit a child because he's hitting someone else. You cannot take behavior away if you are modeling that behavior. And in the moment it might look like it's working. That child will stop because they don't want to be bitten. Obviously they want to avoid the punishment, but that's the wrong reason. They are not stopping because they really truly understand that this behavior is inappropriate. It is hurting my friend. No one wants to play with me. It's not socially acceptable. So we want to actually teach them the reasons behind the rules, the reasons why you shouldn't do something, so that they can choose to behave correctly because that's the right thing to do, and not because I don't want to be punished, because that's a short-term win for you as a parent. It's not a long-term disciplinary win. And that being said, we want to expect behavior, we want to have behavior
that's age appropriate.
Yeah. We want to have our expectations to be age appropriate. Because we cannot expect a 2 or 3 year old to not bite. They will bite. And if you think yours won't, you're in for a surprise. They all do. As a first time mom, I was very surprised to hear that my child bit someone. But they all do it. That's age appropriate behavior. It's not age appropriate for an 8-year-old to bite. So whenever you judge behavior, make sure that your expectations are in line with their age, and what you can expect shouldn't be something that's impossible for them to do. Remember that very young children and toddlers are very self-centered. They think the world revolves around them. They think that you should only focus on them and what they want and need, and that's okay. That's normal. It should be like that. It's a process to develop empathy and insight and social skills. So don't expect what they cannot do. You will frustrate yourself and you will frustrate them, because they will feel like they're not good enough and they don't even know why.
And talking about toddlers, what we sometimes forget is they don't understand the concept of time yet.
Yes.
So in our adult world, we know we need to be at a certain point at 8 o'clock, and I need an hour and I need to prepare. You know how your day is going to play out. And for a little one, they don't have a time concept at all. They don't understand a watch. They don't understand what 10 minutes mean. They don't know how short or how long it feels, you know. So for us, it's very important to prepare a child up front. It also comes back to not surprising a child. You know, you can't expect your child not to get mad if they watch a TV program and you walk just in front of them and you switch it off and you say, enough TV. You know, there's no warning, there's no preparation time, there's no, okay guys, in 5 minutes time we're switching off, just to pull them back into your world. So have a lot of patience with your children, especially if they're younger. And as they get older, learn to transition them from one activity into the next. Don't surprise them. We find that works very well as well.
Yeah. Certain personality types really can't deal with unexpected change or sudden change, or not having that warning beforehand. And to be quite honest, I will also scream and shout if you just walk in and switch off the television in the middle of my program. If this is a rule that I always try to follow, because it puts things into perspective. If you would not do it to a colleague, don't do it to your child. You're not going to bite your colleague, so don't do it to your child. You're going to tell your colleague, it's really not nice to bite. No one enjoys this working environment if you do this. Please change the behavior, or let's look at alternative things that you can do to get rid of your frustration. You'll never bite your colleague back.
And talking about, you know, don't or do, or what we find in the classes when we present gross motor classes is, if you say the negative, if you say don't run, your brain is designed to only hear and react on a working or on the verb. That's the word I'm looking for, on a verb. So if you say don't run, that's what you'll see what will happen. They're going to start running. So instead of doing that, rather say we're all going to walk slowly now to the tree, for instance, so that you re-emphasize the positive and what the action is that they should start taking.
Yes, focus on what you want them to do, not on what you don't want them to do.
Exactly.
And the younger the child, the shorter the sentence. Walk slowly. That's sufficient.
Yeah. You don't need to say, I want you to walk slowly because otherwise, and then they switch off.
Yeah.
And what's really important, Marina, I want to come back to the point that don't reason with a child. Pick your battles. Don't quibble and you know, go about all the little small things that's constantly wrong in your house. Choose the core values that you feel that is very important for both you and your husband or your family members that you live in. Try and be consequent between two households if you live in two different households, and then take it from there. That's going to cause your child to be safe or feel safe and secure. So there's so many things we can still discuss. I see our time is running out, Marina. So we're going to first have to say goodbye to you guys. We can keep you busy, and we can talk and talk and talk for hours on end. What we do want to say is make sure that you look out for Marinda's course. If you really feel that you can't cope with your child's current behavior, this is going to be a very good resource in your toolkit in order to, it's very practical. We like to be practical. So based on that, if there's anything else that you have found as a teacher or a therapist or a mother at home, let's encourage one another. Let's share our tips and tricks, and then we take it from there.
Yes, please share your tips. There's a mom out there that's struggling with the same thing, and if you found something that worked, please share it.
Yes.
We want to hear from you, and I think it's part of building our community of support for each other.
Definitely. Until we speak again, goodbye.